People believe the law is equal for everyone. The courtroom looks the same for the rich and the poor. The judge wears the same black robe. The rules are written in the same books. The punishment is described in the same language. But equality on paper is not equality in reality. For an ordinary person, a lawsuit is not just a legal problem. It is a life-ending event. Savings disappear. Sleep disappears. Confidence disappears. Reputation collapses. Friends become silent. Time becomes expensive. Fear becomes permanent. A single legal notice can freeze 10 years of effort. But when a billionaire is sued, nothing stops. Flights still depart. Companies still operate. Money still moves. Deals still close. Life continues. Not because they are innocent. Not because the law loves them. Not because judges protect them. But because billionaires do not enter the legal system the way normal people do. They build themselves around it. They design their lives so lawsuits lose their power before they are even filed. This is not about crime. This is not about corruption. This is not about bribing judges or buying verdicts. This is about architecture, legal architecture, structures made of contracts, companies, trusts, jurisdictions, delays, silence, and money. This is how billionaires avoid lawsuits. Legally, most people live like this. One name, one bank account, one house, one business, one identity. If something goes wrong, everything is exposed. But billionaires live differently. They do not own things. Things own them. Their house belongs to a company. Their car belongs to another company. Their brand belongs to a corporation. Their investments belong to a trust. Their money belongs to a network of legal entities. If someone sues, they are not suing a person. They are suing paperwork. And paperwork does not feel pain. This is the first secret. Separation. Separation between the human and the asset. The more distance between the two, the weaker the lawsuit becomes. Courts can punish people, but punishing structures is slow, complex, expensive, confusing. Billionaires turn their lives into mazes, and lawsuits get lost inside them. A corporation is not just a business. It is a legal creature. It can own property. It can sign contracts. It can be sued. It can die. And when it dies, the billionaire lives. This is not hiding. This is design. One company owns another company. That company controls another company. That company licenses a brand from another company. And somewhere far away, the billionaire benefits, but does not appear. If a lawsuit comes, it hits the first wall, the corporation. The billionaire remains untouched behind it. This is why billionaires almost never operate as individuals. They operate as systems. Then comes a second wall. Trusts. A trust is a legal disappearance. When money enters a trust, it no longer belongs to the billionaire. Legally, they can benefit from it, use it, control it, but they do not own it. And courts cannot take what someone does not own. This is not cheating. This is law. Old law, designed centuries ago to protect dynasties. Modern billionaires simply perfected it. But structures alone are not enough. The real weapon is time. Time is the most dangerous force inside any courtroom. A billionaire can afford 10 years of waiting. A normal person cannot afford 10 months. So the strategy is simple. Do not fight. Delay. File motions. Request documents. Change lawyers. Challenge jurisdiction. Appeal decisions. Question evidence. Add experts. Remove experts. Restart processes. Each step is legal. Each step costs money. But not their money. The opponent's money. Slowly, bank accounts shrink. Stress grows. Families suffer. Careers collapse. Motivation dies. Most lawsuits never reach a verdict. They end with exhaustion. The billionaire does not win the case. They outlive it. And when delay is not enough, they use silence. Private settlements. No courtroom. No cameras. No records. No headlines. Just signatures. Money changes hands. Truth disappears. The story dies. No precedent is created. No example is set. No warning spreads. Tomorrow, it happens again. Then comes geography. Not where the problem happened, but where the fight happens. Some courts favor corporations. Some protect workers. Some protect consumers. Some protect wealth. Billionaires choose their battlefield before any war begins. They decide through contracts, hidden lines, tiny text, foreign jurisdictions, private arbitration, special courts. By the time the other side realizes, they are already standing in the wrong country, fighting in the wrong system, under rules written for someone else. And then there is reputation, the invisible shield. News could destroy lawsuits faster than judges. So billionaires control the narrative, press releases, charities, foundations, interviews, distractions. Attention is moved. When the story changes, pressure disappears. When pressure disappears, cases lose power. This is not corruption. This is preparation. Normal people prepare for jobs. Billionaires prepare for court. Before anything goes wrong, they build legal fortresses around their lives. Brick by brick, company by company, contract by contract, trust by trust. They do not ask, what if I get sued? They assume, I will be sued. And they design everything around that truth. The law does not protect money. Money protects itself. Using the law. The courtroom is not a battlefield. It is a marathon. And billionaires are trained to outlast. Most people think lawsuits are about truth. They are not. They are about endurance. Who can stay standing longer? Who can afford to keep breathing while the system slowly drains both sides? This is where delay becomes an art, a science, a business model. When a normal person is sued, they rush. They panic. They respond emotionally. They hire one lawyer. They pray the case ends quickly. A billionaire does the opposite. They slow everything down. They turn urgency into quicksand. Every document becomes a mountain. Every sentence becomes a debate. Every detail becomes a battlefield. Their lawyers file motions that change nothing but cost everything. Motions to dismiss. Motions to review. Motions to clarify. Motions to postpone. Motions to relocate. Each motion adds weeks. Each objection adds months. Each appeal adds years. The clock becomes a weapon, not against the court, against the human being on the other side. Time changes people. At the beginning, the plaintiff is angry. They want justice. They want accountability. They want truth. After 6 months, they want peace. After 1 year, they want the pain to stop. After 2 years, they want their life back. After 3 years, they will accept almost anything. This is not weakness. It is biology. The human brain is not designed to survive endless uncertainty. But billionaires are not fighting alone. They outsource patience to lawyers, to money, to systems that never feel tired. A billionaire does not hire a lawyer. They hire an army. One team for contracts. One team for litigation. One team for tax. One team for public relations. One team for crisis response. Some of these teams exist only to imagine lawsuits that have not happened yet. They study laws the way engineers study earthquakes. They do not ask, what if? They ask, when? They map vulnerabilities. They redesign ownership. They rewrite contracts. They move assets. They create new layers, not to escape the law, but to bend around it. Then comes the invisible partner. Insurance, not health insurance, not car insurance, lawsuit insurance, directors and officers insurance, professional liability insurance, corporate litigation insurance, reputation insurance. Billionaires insure their mistakes before they make them. So when a lawsuit arrives, it is not a disaster. It is paperwork. The insurance company pays the lawyers. The insurance company funds the defense. The insurance company absorbs the damage. The billionaire remains untouched. Emotionally, financially, mentally, normal people fear lawsuits because they risk everything. Billionaires treat lawsuits like weather. Unpleasant, but expected and survivable. Then comes the most dangerous trap in modern law: arbitration. Most people do not even know what it is. They sign contracts. Click I agree, accept terms, join platforms, work jobs, buy services, start businesses. Inside those contracts, hidden quietly, is a sentence that changes everything. You agree to resolve disputes through private arbitration. This single sentence removes public courts, removes judges, removes juries, removes transparency, replaces justice with negotiation behind closed doors, in private rooms, paid for by corporations, controlled by corporations, designed for corporations. When a normal person tries to sue, they are told, you cannot go to court. You signed it. The case disappears. Justice becomes confidential, and silence becomes mandatory. Billionaires love arbitration because arbitration does not create headlines. It does not create records. It does not create history. It buries conflict quietly and protects reputations perfectly. Then comes another layer: complexity. The poor experience simple law. Did you do it or not? Did you pay or not? Did you sign or not? The rich experience infinite law, a world where every rule has exceptions, and every exception has a price. They exploit gaps between responsibility and control, between ownership and benefit, between action and intent. They divide actions across companies, so no single entity is guilty. They distribute decisions across boards, so no individual is responsible. They fragment blame until it becomes invisible. The law cannot punish fog, only solid shapes. And billionaires turn themselves into fog. When things become dangerous, they do not argue. They disappear, not physically, legally. Assets are moved. Companies are closed. New companies are born. Ownership is transferred. Jurisdictions change. By the time a court finishes one sentence, the target has already changed names. This is not illegal. This is paperwork. And paperwork moves faster than justice. Most people believe justice is a sword. It is not. It is a scale. Slow, heavy, delicate. Billionaires understand this, so they never stand directly beneath it. They build tunnels around it. To the public, it looks unfair. To lawyers, it looks normal. To billionaires, it looks necessary. Because in their world, being rich does not mean being safe. It means being visible. And visibility attracts lawsuits the way light attracts insects. So they do not try to avoid attention. They try to survive it. The system is not broken. It is functioning exactly as designed. Designed by people who understood one truth. Power does not fight law. Power learns to live inside it. Most people imagine lawsuits as dramatic moments. A courtroom, a judge, a verdict, justice delivered like thunder. But for billionaires, that moment almost never comes. Because the real battle is fought long before anyone enters a courtroom. And most victims never even realize the battle has already ended. The secret weapon is fragmentation, breaking reality into pieces. When a normal person causes harm, responsibility is clear. One person, one action, one target. But when a billionaire system causes harm, responsibility dissolves. The product was designed by one company, manufactured by another, marketed by a third, sold by a fourth, insured by a fifth, licensed by a sixth. Each company is legal. Each company is separate. Each company is protected. When a lawsuit comes, no one entity is fully responsible. Blame becomes a puzzle with missing pieces. And courts cannot punish what they cannot clearly define. This is why billionaires build ecosystems, not businesses. Ecosystems. If one company falls, another survives. If one name becomes toxic, another replaces it. The machine continues. Only the paint changes. Then comes the disappearing act. A lawsuit is announced. Papers are filed. The plaintiff celebrates. They believe the fight has begun. But behind the scenes, assets are already moving. Ownership is transferred. Companies are dissolved. New companies are created. Money changes countries. Names change. Addresses change. Directors resign. New directors appear. Everything is legal. Everything is documented. Everything is invisible to the public. By the time the court requests records, the trail is cold, not erased, relocated. This is how wealth outruns justice. Not by speed, but by preparation. Now comes the most misunderstood truth. Billionaires do not fear lawsuits. They fear precedent. A single public victory against them is dangerous, not because of money, but because of replication. If one person wins publicly, others will follow. So they do everything to prevent the first victory. They settle quietly. They delay endlessly. They move the battlefield. They silence stories. They buy peace, because peace is cheaper than history. This is why so many cases disappear. No verdict, no apology, no explanation, just silence. The victim receives money. The billionaire receives invisibility, and the world learns nothing. The system calls this efficiency. The public calls it injustice. Billionaires call it survival. Another layer protects them. Plausible deniability. Decisions are never made by one person. They are made by committees, boards, advisors, subcompanies, law firms, consultants. When something goes wrong, no single human stands at the center. Responsibility becomes fog, and the law cannot handcuff fog. Most people believe wealth brings freedom. In reality, wealth brings vulnerability. The more money you control, the more enemies you attract. The more lawsuits you invite, the more mistakes become expensive. So billionaires build armor not because they are evil, but because exposure is fatal. Normal people build homes. Billionaires build legal bunkers. Inside these bunkers, everything is planned. What happens if someone sues? Which company will be sacrificed? Which asset will be protected? Which jurisdiction will be chosen? Which lawyer will speak? Which story will be told? Which silence will be bought? These decisions are not emotional. They are procedural, written years in advance. This is why lawsuits against billionaires feel strange. They move slowly. They lose attention. They dissolve quietly. They never explode. They fade. The victim thinks, I lost. The billionaire thinks, the system worked. And then there is the final shield, fatigue. The human soul cannot fight forever. Money can, contracts can, corporations can, but people break. People grow tired. People age. People lose hope. Justice is patient. Humans are not. So billionaires do not crush their enemies. They outweight them. And when the fight ends, nothing changes. The structure remains. The system continues. The next lawsuit arrives. The same process repeats. Silently, legally, perfectly. The law is not blind. It is technical. And billionaires are fluent in its language. There's a place where most modern lawsuits go to die. Not a courtroom. Not a judge's chamber. Not a jury room. A private office. A private table. A private agreement. It is called arbitration. And billionaires love it. Arbitration is sold as fairness. Faster justice. Cheaper justice. Simpler justice. But in reality, it is invisible justice. No cameras. No public records. No reporters. No history. Just documents. And silence. Most people enter arbitration without realizing it. They sign contracts. For jobs. For apps. For loans. For businesses. For housing. For services. Inside those contracts, buried between legal words, is a sentence that changes everything. You agree to resolve disputes through private arbitration. That sentence removes your right to public court, removes your right to a jury, removes your right to speak publicly, removes your power. When a billionaire is involved, arbitration becomes a shield. No scandal, no precedent, no reputation damage. No public loss. The billionaire can lose money, but never lose face. And face is more valuable than money. Money can be replaced. Reputation cannot. Inside arbitration rooms, power is uneven. One side brings teams of lawyers. The other brings fear. One side understands the system. The other just wants the pain to stop. One side can wait forever. The other cannot. So most arbitration cases end quietly, with settlements, with silence, with erased stories. The public never learns. The system never changes. The billionaire remains untouched. Then comes the art of contract engineering. Billionaires do not write contracts. They commission weapons, documents designed not to protect fairness, but to control outcomes. They include jurisdiction traps, arbitration clauses, confidentiality demands, limitation of liability, forced mediation, waiver of class action. Every clause removes a right, slowly, quietly, legally. By the time a normal person understands what happened, they have already lost, not in court, on paper. And then comes the final layer of protection, reputation engineering. Billionaires do not manage companies. They manage perception. When trouble appears, they do not deny. They redirect. They donate. They sponsor. They apologize carefully. They distract strategically. They flood the news with something else. A new product, a new charity, a new scandal, a new story. Attention moves. Pressure disappears. And lawsuits lose oxygen. Because lawsuits do not survive without attention. Judges are human. Jurors are human. Lawyers are human. And humans are influenced by stories. So billionaires rewrite the story. This is why you rarely hear about billionaire lawsuits ending badly. Not because they do not happen, but because they end quietly, behind contracts, behind settlements, behind arbitration doors, behind silence. The system does not collapse. It adapts. Most people think the legal system is a weapon. It is not. It is a language. And billionaires speak it fluently. They do not ask, "Am I right?" They ask, "Am I protected?" And protection is cheaper than justice. Normal people trust the law to save them. Billionaires trust the law to hide them. This is the difference. The legal system is changing. Quietly, slowly, irreversibly. And billionaires are changing faster than it ever will. Public courtrooms are becoming rare, not because justice is complete, but because justice is inconvenient, too slow, too visible, too unpredictable. For wealth, unpredictability is danger. So the future of lawsuits is not a courtroom. It is a document, a digital contract, a checkbox, a sentence no one reads. Every day, millions of people sign away their rights. They do it when they download an app, join a platform, start a job, rent a home, open a bank account, buy a service. They click "I agree" and never realize what they just surrendered: the right to sue publicly, the right to a jury, the right to speak, the right to warn others. Billionaires understand this future, so they design it. They push everything into contracts. They move justice into private systems. They replace judges with arbitrators. They replace verdicts with settlements. They replace truth with confidentiality. The courtroom was built for humans. The contract was built for power. In the past, lawsuits were weapons of accountability. Today, they are financial negotiations. In the past, trials created history. Today, they create silence. This is why modern billionaires are not afraid of mistakes. They are afraid of publicity. Mistakes can be insured. Mistakes can be settled. Mistakes can be buried. Stories cannot. So the system is evolving into something new. A legal world where justice is private. Outcomes are confidential. Responsibility is fragmented. And memory is erased. Most people will never notice because they will never reach a courtroom. They will be redirected, filtered, delayed, settled, silenced, and billionaires will remain where they have always been, outside the reach of consequences, not by breaking the law, but by mastering it. They do not fight justice. They redesign it. They understand one simple truth. The law is not a wall. It is a tool, and tools belong to those who can afford to shape them. For the poor, the law is a storm. For the rich, It is architecture. Normal people ask, will the law protect me? Billionaires ask, how do I make the law protect my money? And that question changes everything. This is why billionaires rarely lose lawsuits. This is why victims rarely win publicly. This is why silence spreads faster than justice. This is why the system never truly changes. Not because it is evil, but because it is profitable. The law does not protect money. Money protects itself. Using the law. In the end, the story is not about billionaires. It is about distance. Distance between power and consequence. Distance between action and responsibility. Distance between harm and justice. The law was created to protect society. But over time, it became a language. And like every language, those who master it control the conversation. Most people learn the law when something goes wrong. Billionaires learn it before anything happens. They study it. They hire it. They redesign their lives around it. They build systems that do not collapse when pressure arrives. They build structures that absorb blame. They build companies that take the fall. They build contracts that silence voices. They build delays that drain courage. They build settlements that erase memory. They build reputations that bend reality. And when lawsuits come, they do not panic. They do not freeze. They do not beg. They activate systems. For a normal person, a lawsuit is chaos. For a billionaire, it is procedure. This is why two people can commit the same mistake and face two completely different futures. One loses everything. The other loses nothing visible. Not because the law is unfair, but because the battlefield is uneven. Justice is heavy, slow, human. Wealth is light, fast, endless. The courtroom was built for truth, but truth moves slowly. Money does not, and so the system tilts. Not dramatically, not violently, but gradually, quietly, legally. Every contract shifts it. Every arbitration clause strengthens it. Every silent settlement deepens it. Every delayed case normalizes it. Every forgotten victim confirms it. Until one day, people stop expecting justice and start expecting silence. This is the future being built, not in courtrooms, but in documents, not with judges, but with signatures, not with verdicts, but with agreements no one reads. Billionaires do not rule the law. They adapt to it perfectly. They do not escape consequences. They redesign them. And the world calls this intelligence, strategy, success. But for those on the other side, it feels like disappearance. Their story ends without a voice, without a record, without a warning to others. A loss that never becomes a lesson. The law remains standing. The system remains stable. The money remains protected. And life continues as if nothing happened. The law does not protect money. Money protects itself. Using the law,